Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Creating Dashboard and Analytics Apps in React with Reveal. My name is Jason Beres. I'm the Senior VP of Developer Tools here at Infragistics. My email is jasonb@infragistics.com. And today we are going to talk about two products, primarily Reveal, but you're going to see a little bit of App Builder because I'm going to start our demo using our low-code tool, App Builder, which many of you are familiar with, but many of you are not. So you'll get to see how I'm going to use that in today's example. So the agenda is we're going to look at embedded analytics. We're going to do some low code with App Builder. Most of the time is going to be spent with a demo. I think it's like 6 or 8 steps just to get this sample working. Everything I'm going to show you today is on GitHub, so you can grab this sample and play with it yourself. Recording and slides will be available after the webinar, and please ask questions in the chat or the questions window. We have folks online, or I will be answering any questions that you might have. So today's product focus is primarily Reveal, but like I said, you're going to see a little bit of App Builder. And if you're not familiar with Reveal, Reveal does help you accelerate insights with a self-service embedded analytics SDK. The key aspect of Reveal, the real benefit, is that it is not a SaaS product. I talk to customers every day looking to do digital transformation, and they don't want to use a hosted SaaS experience that just throws an iframe in their app, or that users have to click over to get analytics, because you lose context, you lose time, and it's really just not a great experience. So with Reveal, you have this full self-service experience within your application, rich API, and of course, client and server capabilities to match any tech stack that you might have. So just going a little bit deeper into this, this is not an SDK. This is not a SaaS app. It is an SDK. And that's really the big benefit of Reveal when you compare it to other products in the market, because the BI space right now is enormous. There's BI everywhere. There's open source options. There's closed source. There's pricing is all over the place. But when you're looking for a really amazing user experience that you want embedded in your app, Reveal really is the only choice in the market. The nice thing is there's no per user or per server fees. So we charge just by the application. Most companies just have one application that they're using, so you don't have to worry about prices continuing to go up and up as you add more users. We have a direct connect model with Reveal, so we have about 25 or 30 data connectors. Those data connectors will connect right to your data sources. We do have a caching mechanism, but the concept is that if you have a Snowflake database, you're in Reveal, you're using our Snowflake connector, you're connecting right into Snowflake to get your data in real time. And because we are an SDK, of course, we deploy anywhere, just like your apps. We are inside your app. .NET Core, we're a NuGet package. Node, we're an NPM package. Java, we're a Maven package. So we just are in your app, and we're JavaScript on the client. And security always comes up. But because we're an SDK, this is secure by default because we live in the context of your security. There's no way to get around security because it's in your app. So if your app is secure, Reveal is secure. And of course, as I mentioned, we have a really rich API on the client and the server, so you have total control over the experience that the user has. Now, the other product we're going to look at today is called App Builder. App Builder is our low-code tool. It really does help you design and build real apps blazing fast with low code. You're going to see that today. We are doing React today, and in fact, in App Builder, we generate code. So currently in our production environment, we generate Angular, Blazor, and web components. And in our preview environment, we generate React code. So React is coming soon in terms of the capability you'll have to generate code. But the idea with App Builder is that it's a WYSIWYG tool for the web. So you can design any type of app, do all the data binding, CRUD. There's tons of features in App Builder. We're just going to go like very high level today because I'm going to create a basic screen. And then you generate that code and then you keep working on it. So that's actually what we're going to be doing today. So with that, let's jump right into our demo. and you'll see how you can accelerate not only the app building with App Builder, but then enabling embedded BI with Reveal. The first thing I want to highlight is the appbuilder.dev homepage. This is where we're going to start to build out our Reveal application today. This has all the information you need about why you need App Builder in your life. You can book a demo, or you can just try a free online version or a free trial online. We have a 30-day trial and makes it really easy to experience the entire app solution. But I'm going to jump over to an application that I already started. I want to highlight something first, though. When you start with App Builder, you'll have this entry point where you can do certain things. One of the big ones is to create a new app. So we have a lot of pre-built applications based on different verticals that you might want to look at. We have some empty app templates. You can import designs. So we support Figma, Sketch, and Adobe XD, which pretty much most people have moved off of XD now. You might be using Figma or Sketch, but we have a whole design system concept here. So if you design something in Figma or Sketch, it can go right into App Builder as real components, real code, and we'll generate that for you. So for today's example, what I did is I started out with one of our basic templates. I actually started out with the empty template. So let's go ahead and we'll just do this really quickly. I'll just do the whole thing from scratch. So you'll see I have my master view. It's a single page app builder. So that's your Angular, React, or Blazor type apps. We've got a toolbox of all of our Ignite UI controls. These are enterprise grade user interface controls. We're known for having the fastest and most feature-rich data grids on the planet. You can connect into any of your data sources. We have this concept of variables, which you'll see a little bit of today, different branding and theming, and of course, your assets. But let's stick over here to my master view. Now, the way that Reveal works is you have a server and a client. So the server is really where your dashboards live. It's where you do all your authentication, authorization, all the stuff that you would do on the back end. I set up a server already. It happens to be running. And I also added some additional APIs that I'm going to use. So for example, I want to iterate over my dashboards folder, and I want to get a list of all of my dashboards that I have and return those to the client so I can have a list of dashboards. And there's some other things in here to get the dashboard thumbnail. We're going to use that in the thumbnail component that you'll see in our application. This will give me just a list of the dashboard names. So there's just some different APIs here. And yes, this is all up in the GitHub repo. When you use this, you have to make sure that you have a Reveal trial license, because it will expect a license here either in the builder, because this is an MVC or a .NET Core backend, or in a file on your system. So that's the other thing. If you just download this code and you try to run it, then you'll get an error. So make sure you do have a trial key. It's a very long key. But this application is living at localhost 7218. The way that App Builder works with data is that you just add your OpenAPI endpoint. So I'm going to add that endpoint here really quick. We're going to call this webinar demo, and I'm going to add the Swagger definition of that file, which I just copied, 7218 Swagger JSON. I'm going to hit save. We'll go configure our endpoints, and now I'm given a list of all of the dashboards that are available to me. So you can see here I've got my visualizations and I've got my dashboard names. Once I select those, you'll see that I can get the file names here of the dashboards and all that good stuff. So I basically have what I want with this data source. I'm just going to hit done, and now webinar demo is sitting over in my data sources. Now I want to pick a layout. Let's do a side-by-side layout. I'm going to click done. I want this left-hand side to be a list control, and I'm going to say it should be like 20% width, maybe 25%, make it a little bit wider. And then this layout will be the rest. So this is a column layout, 2 column layouts. I'm going to go to my toolbox. I'm going to grab a list view, and let's drag this list guy right here. I want my list to be data bound. So I'm going to say, hey, use data. And the data source should be our webinar demo. And what I want to use is my dashboard names, because I'm just going to list my dashboard names here. And I will set the title into my dashboard names to my dashboard title. So I want the dashboard title to show up. And for the subtitle, I won't do anything. I don't need an actions. So basically, it's going to be like an image. And in our app, we're going to make this to be like a square-looking thumbnail. And this will be my dashboard. So if I run this, and you can see I have a list of all of my dashboards that are bound. Remember, we talk about code generation. This is the React code that it took to make this work. This is not spaghetti code, garbage code. This is real production-ready React code. Hey, if you're not a React guy and you want to use Angular, great. Go ahead and use Angular. All the data binding stuff is right here. So I have my React code, but what I want to do is set up a little interaction with this side. Now, remember, I said that the reveal component, even though if I do something like this, you'll see the dashboard. In React, we don't have the ability to generate the code. So I can sort of leave this just like it is right now. But what I will do is change a couple things so it will actually work with this app experience. So I'm going to go over to my variables, and I'm going to create a new global variable, and I'm going to call this reveal server. So I want my reveal server to be a string that I can use wherever I want across my application. So what is that server going to be? Well, it's going to be localhost 7218. So let's put our 7218 here, and I'm going to create that. And now my bound reveal server will show up. So now I have a reveal server, and there's my dashboard, but I don't want this to show the sales dashboard. I want it to show what I click on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to set an interaction. I don't want my interaction to be navigate to. I want it to be set variable. Well, what variable do I want to set? Let's go ahead and create a new variable. Let's call this dashboard name. And dashboard name is going to be what? It's going to be the dashboard file name. So the dashboard title and the dashboard file name can be different. So how am I going to use that now? Well, when I select this visualization, I can now bind this to the dashboard name. So now these two guys are actually sort of married, and they will work back and forth nicely. So if I hit run and I just select this, like magic, I have reveal running, and this is all legit. This is all the real reveal client. This is a real app. Unfortunately, because we're using this preview of React, it's not going to generate my reveal side, but if I was using Angular or Blazor, it would, which is really, really slick. So I'm going to go back to edit mode. I'm going to delete this guy, and what we're going to do just for our demo today, I'll do Control E, which is a shortcut of just bringing this guy up. I'll bring up text box, and see where it says body 1, what we can do is just bind that to our dashboard name. Now, when I run this guy and we select an item, you can see that it will show up. In our code, we're going to add the React component here in App Builder or in our generated code. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So how do you get this code out of App Builder? Well, there's a couple ways. If you select the publish button here on the right-hand side, I could publish this to GitHub, or I could download the zip file. So in this example, I went ahead and I downloaded the zip file, and I already have all of that running in Visual Studio Code. But let's go back up to App Builder, and just so you know, there's no smoke and mirrors here. Let's do a publish to GitHub, and I'm just going to call this webinar demo 1. And we'll create the repository. And so this will go ahead, create the repository on GitHub. I'm going to click publish. It's uploading these files to GitHub and generating the entire project for me. When it's done, you have this published option. Let's go ahead and click this guy. Now we're right here. Let's go to source. Here's my app, my master view, my hooks. So you can see here, I've got all my state hooks. I've got all of the code to populate my arrays and call my services. My services are calling my endpoints. You can see I have my localhost 7218 endpoints. I wanted dashboard names. In my master view, there is all of the code that now we're going to go ahead and modify that will generate, or that will actually finish up what we want to build. So I have all that running inside of Visual Studio Code, and the reason I did that is because I did a little prepping here. I have my thumbnail component, which is a little bit of extra code. The nice thing is this is completely generic. So you use the thumbnail component in any app. You just grab the code and you can use it anywhere. You don't have to change it per application. But that thumbnail component is going to be a pretty cool part of what we're going to do today. But you can see here my reveal server hooks over here on the services. I have the services. One thing I did change is I went ahead and made this a variable in config.ts. So I'm using localhost 7218, just like our application. So let's go ahead now and get this going with our React component. So the first thing that I want to do is actually add the components to my application. So I'm going to do an npm install, and I'm going to say @reveal.bi/UI. So these are up on npmjs.com. So now my UI is installed. Let's hit the up arrow, and I'm going to say install UI-React. So the UI will have like dialogues and things that I may want to use in my app. And then the UI React is the actual React component. So where are we going to add all of this goodness to get this going? Well, in my sample, what I did is I added some nice steps here. So I think there's 6 steps to actually do what we need here in order to configure this for React. I use some code snippets in Visual Studio Code. Those will be up in GitHub as well. So the first thing I want to do is import my reveal view components. So I'm going to do my imports. You can see I'm going to use something called reveal view, and I'm going to use something called reveal view options. Probably the biggest change to using the React component versus using the JavaScript library is the reveal view options, because they give you a lot of flexibility in the configuration and then how you can dynamically create these configurations versus doing everything in JavaScript code. Of course, we're still using jQuery. This is on the way out. We expect that jQuery will be gone imminently. We are working on removing jQuery right now, so this will happen, within the next few months. Maybe the August release of Reveal, you won't have jQuery any longer, which will be very nice. So now that I've declared my jQuery, I want to declare my reveal view options. So now in this case, what I'm going to do is leave it empty. So I'm going to have no options set. I'm going to show you how to do more options later, but just for simplicity, because you don't need any options, we're just going to leave everything empty. And then I'm going to enable my reveal SDK settings. Of course, you do need to point to your server. I have my API endpoint, which, as you'll remember, is localhost 7218, which is here, localhost 7218. So that's my reveal server. So now at this point, I kind of have everything set up that I need to, make this work. The next thing that I want to do is, well, why don't we just run it and see what happens? So I'm just going to do an npm start. And what we're going to see is the list on the left-hand side. Because remember, this was code gen. I didn't have to write anything to do this. My code generator did this for me. So you can see that when I select items, that this changes on the right-hand side. So all of the stuff that we had done inside of App Builder comes through. I just need to add my reveal view here on the right-hand side. So where are we going to do that? Let's go all the way to the bottom. And this div that we had here where we are showing the dashboard name, I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to delete this, and let's go ahead and add the reveal view. So we'll add the reveal view. Very simple. The reveal view component expects the options that we set way up here. There's our options, and then it just wants a dashboard. So what is the dashboard? This is going to be the dashboard file name that it expects. Well, this is what's happening on our click event. We're actually setting that dashboard file name in the item, which was generated in code. So all of this was sort of done for us by App Builder, which is the beauty of this whole story, that we don't need to do anything to make this happen. It literally just works. So you can see now when I'm selecting my items here, healthcare, logistics, market rents, market analytics, my dashboards are showing them at the right-hand side. If I go over here, I have the overflow. I'm right into the reveal experience. I can go directly into edit mode. Maybe let's change this from territory to something like date. So we can do budget spend by date. Maybe let's do this by month. And I can check the box. Now I have budget and spend by month. So without writing more than a handful of lines of code, I'm in the entire app experience here that I would normally get in any reveal application. So using the low-code tool with App Builder and then jumping in there, adding the reveal view with the React component makes it super, super simple. So let's go ahead now and improve the right-hand side here. So you'll remember I have this dashboard thumbnail component. So if I scroll back up, go to components, here's my thumbnail. The thumbnail is going to use this API called thumbnail/thumbnail at our dashboard's file name. So if we look at this in the Swagger file, so let's go back here, you'll see we've got this thumbnail endpoint, and I'll click try it out. We'll just click marketing, execute. What this does is it gives a bunch of metadata that's required to generate the thumbnail. So it's not like we have this image service where I can just grab an image from the server. This is actually a client-side API that generates the thumbnail on the client. And then we're going to merge our styles and then return this div back to our master view. Where are we going to do that? Well, right here on my list item. So this is my list item. What am I doing on my list item? I have my item ID as my key. I'm passing my dashboard file name to handle the click event and load the file name, and then I'm loading in my dashboard title into the list. But right to the left of that, I want to show my thumbnail. So let's go ahead and let's add our thumbnail. So what are we doing here? I've got my dashboard file name property on the thumbnail. It expects the dashboard file name. I set some height and width properties, and you can see I got a little red squiggly here. Let's go ahead, add the import from components thumbnail. It added this up here at the top. We're ready to go. Let's hit Control S to save this, and we will go back to our app. And now you can see that I have a thumbnail that matches what my dashboard looks like. So that's all there is to it. At this point, I have a full-featured self-service BI experience that will let me create new visualizations. I can edit existing visualizations. I can do any settings. They'll automatically save because I'm using .NET Core. I get all of the benefits here, like, for example, all of my exports that I might want to do. So if I export this guy to Excel, we didn't write any code to do this because this is all inside of Reveal. It's all built into the client library. So in a few steps, using App Builder, using Reveal, you can just really knock the socks off of your manager, showing him how you can quickly create a beautiful app experience with App Builder and Reveal. And I will highlight real quick. Let me open up my browser. I mentioned the GitHub repo. So let's go over to GitHub and I will show you that. Let's go to repositories. And here we've got the, let me scroll down, the dashboard viewer. And in the dashboard viewer, I've got a client and a server. So if you go to the server, you'll see the .NET Core app with those APIs that I had mentioned. So if we look at Program CS, you can see the things here that are necessary. And then if we go look at the client, I have an Angular and a React client. So if we look at Angular, you're Angular dev, you've got all the stuff here. So there's the dashboard thumbnail component and some other things. Now, if I go over to React, it is exactly what I just showed you. So let's go to source. We'll go to app. We'll go to master view TSX, and all of that good stuff is here from the generated code. Now, I did mention, thank you for reminding me on the chat, that we added this new options property bag, basically, that lets you set all of the options and capability here on what you want in your reveal view. So if we go ahead and take a look at what this might look like if you had all of your options available, Of course, with options, you can have a few or as many as you want, but you can see now I've got my constant reveal view options, and I'm just setting different properties on these. I can set my data sources for my data sources dialog. I can control what happens in the header if I want to show the export to Excel, export to image, etc. I can have custom menu items. I could handle all my filters. How do I want to handle the data source dialog? And what properties do I want to set on the visualizations? So these would normally all be set inside of your JavaScript properties, but now with the reveal view options, it's much simpler and much cleaner. So if we save this guy, we'll go back to our React application. We'll refresh, make sure we're looking at the same thing. There is one error I forgot. I did have a mistake here. Let me go ahead and remove my default chart type because that is incorrect. So let's go ahead and refresh this and look at it again. And now you'll see that all of my options are the same because I didn't change anything. But for example, on my overflow here, let's go ahead and change can edit equal to false. And let's say that you cannot export to Excel. So let's remove those two options. So let's save and we'll go back. We'll do a refresh and we'll go to country orders here. There's no edit option and my export to Excel is gone. So using those options makes it super easy to set properties, and then you could set those dynamically from the server, do a JavaScript lookup, get them based on your permissions, etc. So that's all there is to it. Now let's jump back to the slides and we'll wrap this up. Okay, so let's wrap up. Hopefully you're just amazed at how easy that was. The demo was not long because it doesn't have to be. All of the low-code capability in App Builder helped us build out that app experience. And then I went ahead and, of course, I had some code snippets. You don't want to see me type all of that. But it makes it super easy then to just embed Reveal in your app. And those steps that I took, you can do the same thing yourself. There was no hidden secret there in what I did. It was just generated code, and I added those steps. In the GitHub repo, you'll see that there is the thumbnail component. That was some custom code that I wrote and I had ready for this app. But overall, that was the only thing that was dramatically changed. So with Reveal and App Builder, you can build out these beautiful experiences. Start with App Builder, start with our low-code tool, design out any type of app that you want, and then add BI to it with just a couple drag and drops and then some code afterwards. As I mentioned, the Reveal component itself is available when you generate code for Angular. We don't have it in React yet, but when we release our React CodeGen later this month, that React component will be there, which means you're writing even less code. So I could actually build out 100% of that experience with React in App Builder. Today it was, let's say 60% or 50%, but still not much to it once you get down to the code that I added. So your next steps, give us a call at our sales number or email us at sales@infragistics.com. You can go to revealbi.io to learn more about Reveal or appbuilder.dev to learn more about App Builder. But I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And we have another webinar in a couple weeks. We're trying to roll these Reveal webinars every 2 weeks. And if you're interested in App Builder, we're going to start doing the App Builder webinars in the same cadence. There's a lot up on YouTube already, but I want to thank everyone. I know you have a lot of pulls on your time nowadays. I really appreciate you attending this webinar, and we will see you in a couple weeks at the next webinar. Thank you.